Streaming cyberspace into your place. Sanctioned by the Red Light Racing League from North Wilkesboro Speedways, the Virtual Grip Network's live as it happens. Round 10 coverage of the Skitter Creek Modified Series. It's season 15. Okay, 3 rounds ago, the gap between point leader Eric Stout and the man in second, Dalton Williamson, was 10 points. A round later, the gap had grown to 15, and then, as of tonight, it is now 21. But the second half of the season is just beginning, and there's plenty of time for Williamson to change the momentum. Always there, Fred Leclerc sits in third. Hot shoe rookie Hayden Austin and fan favorite Bill Eggs Benedict join Leclerc as the only other drivers to pick up wins this season. And while perhaps not in the championships conversation, all three of those drivers certainly could get their second win tonight. So pull the lever on the Lazy Boy and settle in for the excitement of simulated tour mods at the house that Junior built, a warm Tar Heel state. Hello and welcome on this Thursday night. It's April 26, 2026. The institution J.R. Shepard joins yours truly, Bill Soups, on high up in the VGM press box to bring you our bird's eye view with Lowell Jewell turning the knobs and pushing the sliders. Okay, partner, I thought I knew North Wilkesboro, but there's a new paving going on. I guess this is a new layout. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. And looks great, mimicking what we've got in real life now. So, Soup, this place, it's 5/8 of a mile in length. Track is very wide in the corners, and that will give these drivers a lot of options here tonight to move around and try to create some momentum to make passes. However, these drivers, while they are pushing hard, they will have to remember that this place can be super slick, especially at the start of the run. Tonight, we are running the Tour mods, which means roughly 240 extra horsepower that they have to deal with. These machines are going to move around under acceleration until those tire temps get up into that sweet spot. But after that, these drivers are going to be dealing with a slight push condition entering and throughout the center of the corners. That is a typical trait of this speedway. So, Soup, these drivers will have to keep that in mind as they're pushing hard tonight. And in my opinion, if you want a chance to win here tonight, you're going to have to be willing to move around and search for grip throughout this race. The fastest line at the beginning might not be the fastest line at the end of the night.
Let's make a note of that and watch and see the line they race early and the line that they're forced to race at the end. We got time. Let's take a quick look at the points. You can see the 21-point gap between Stout and Williamson. Now, Eric Stout has 33 bonus points, while his biggest rival, Dalton Williamson, only has 13. That's a difference of 20. You take away the bonus points, and we've been saying it all season, these guys would be dead even. But those bonus points are because Stout has 5 wins compared to Williamson, who's only been able to pick up 1. We talked about the other drivers that have win. Fred Leclerc picked one up, and there he is. His nickname is always there, and he's quietly sitting in third. Hayden Austin, that hotshot rookie, right behind him. Ethan Troutman finished second in the points last season, having a hard time mimicking that again this time. Season 10 champ Jeff Aho sitting down right behind Troutman. We talked about Bill Benedict. He got that win. It had been a long time since he had picked one up. Then rounding out the back half of your top 10, Chad Alcaraz, Bradley Steffen, Josh Buckley, and Kid Lemon Lime, Luke Logan Allen, just outside the top 10. Now, the in-house odds predictors have predict Williamson to get the win here tonight, but they're also picking Kid Lemon Lime well down the order. Watch out for him. He's going to be really fast. He may get another win here. Beautiful night to go racing. We are going 100 laps. It's the usual rule package. They can come in and get a set of tires. No fast repairs. JR, what's the difference on tire wear between, first of all, are they the same tires on the SK modifieds as they are on the tour mods, or do they race something different, and is the tire wear different?
Yeah, they run the same tires. Now, the big difference is that in the SK, you're more likely to wear out that right front tire. In the Tour mod, you're going to be more likely to wear out that right rear, at least early on, and that can get you in bad shape. Now, I talked about the car getting tight as we get into a run. That will start to put the wear back onto that right front. But early on, you're going to be worried about that right rear tire in these Tour mods.
We just did a race. I don't want to give it away, but earlier this week that featured one of the drivers that are prominent in this series, and he he was very successful by not making a pit stop, and he had to go 150 laps. Uh, is coming in for rubber? Is that something? Do you think the tire wear will be rough enough that maybe you might be able to want to come in and grab something if the caution falls just right?
I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be one of those deals that if you're in the top 5 or 6, you're probably going to stay out the entire race. If you're some of the drivers in the back, you might come in and look at getting right side tires. But while this track gives you options, I think late in the race, it's going to be more difficult to make passes just because of the way that line is going to change. I expect the groove to move from the bottom toward the top or middle of the track, and that's going to make it hard to carry momentum if you're on the bottom trying to make that pass with a driver on your outside. So I think if you're up front, you got to stay out.
Qualifying still going on. Only a sweet 16 of the drivers that showed up, which were 22 of them here. So there were 6 drivers that were not able to put in qualifying time. Lewis Flowers, Scott Negus. Always there, Fred Leclerc. Well, he's got himself some work to do. He didn't get in a qualifying time. Bradley Steffen. And the run runner, Glenn Jameson, all missed qualifying. Well, with that said, they're beginning to grid up now with it all done, so let's run through the grid for you. Well, I mentioned that the in-house odds makers here, Kenalytics, did not like Luke Logan Allen, but Luke Logan, well, he likes what he did. He's on the pole. And how about this? We haven't seen Ethan the Mountain Troutman start so far up in a long time. Nice front rope with those two.
Inside row 2, we got Dalton Williamson. On the outside, Ken Allen.
Pair of teammates lined up in row 3. A.J. Hamill, he's a part-timer. He could easily win today. Analytics really loves him. Eric Stout is predicted to finish second.
Rolling off in 7th place, a winner for this season already, Bill Benedict. And on the outside in 8th place, also a winner, Hayden Austin.
Josh Buckley down there in 9th with Eric's younger brother Patrick starting in 10th.
Inside row 6, we got Jeff Aho, and on the outside, we have Brian Neff.
Gently wrapping in the Baker's Dozen position is the Raven Mark Poe. He's got Chris Hayslip, the Racing Rev, outside of him.
Rolling off in 15th place, we got Ricardo Cano, and on the outside in 16th, Kevin Alicia.
Brian Bianchi and Lewis Wildflowers did not put in qualifying time, so go 17th and 18th.
Inside row 10, we got Scott Negus. On the outside, Fred Leclerc.
And then in the very back, 2 more drivers that didn't qualify, Brian Bianchi and the run runner, Glenn Jameson. The parade lap is done. You go around, you can really see the 13 warming up those tires. Correct myself, it's the 31 of Luke Logan Allen. The 62 of Ethan Troutman on the outside. Should be an interesting drive into that first corner. Williamson is starting inside of row 2. Several positions ahead of his biggest rival, Eric Stout. If he's going to stop that championship bleeding, tonight would be a good night to put a tourniquet on it and get going. Here we go. Gather up the chickens, egg, cover around the cows. The horses are out of the barn. It is number 31 leading the stampede down into the first corner. That's Luke Logan Allen. Dalton Williamson follows. So Ryan Gale, oh no, says Dalton Williams on the back of the kid. That moves the kid up. And now he's going to go underneath. And out quickly. Oh, we got a big one.
Yeah, we got Ken Allen already going around, and I believe Patrick Stout on the front stretch. I saw this early on as we went through turns 1 and 2 on the opening lap. Drivers were already running 3 different lanes through the corner, and usually what that means is they come together toward the exit.
Patrick Stout tried to go underneath and avoid it. He did get through, and then he got caught up. There was no room from Hayden Austin on the outside. So that's Hayden Austin on the wall. And then there's the incident that we don't see. Maybe one more look at it from maybe Hayden Austin's point of view. And that's what got Patrick Stout as Stout was trying to go around.
Yeah, getting a better look at it here. See Ericstad tries to dive under Ken. He backs out of it, but then as they're rolling through the center of the corner, just slight contact to that inside left rear of Ken Allen, send him around. It does not take much at all to place like this. Super slick. And you see Hayden Austin going around, probably got some left front suspension damage, and as he's trying to rejoin, Patrick Stout does not have any idea that he's on the outside there.
Well, we didn't get far. And it didn't take long for Dalton Williamson's reputation of being a fan of the chrome horn there as he got right up into Kid Lemon Lime, gave him a big bump.
Yeah, and that's that's one of the tactics that you can definitely use. It's nothing dirty, but you can give that driver a shot down the straightaway. And what it does is it kind of makes that driver one of two things: either second guess how hard he drives into that corner, and may overdrive the entry, or they just open up the bottom for you altogether. Which looked like that's what Dalton was wanting. He wanted that inside lane.
We talked about Dalton Williamson using the Nerf bar. Well, we call it the Neff bar for Brian Neff. He's a big mover, up 2 spots. Patrick Stout is staying out there even though involved in that incident. We'll see how that car races. Well, Williamson started on the inside of row 2. The inside line was very good, and he was able to go ahead and capitalize on that position to steal the lead. This time, Luke Logan Allen is going to have to start on the outside. We're going to be working lap number 6 as we come across the line. Here we go. Let's see if Allen pins him down. Good momentum from the kid up top.
Yeah, and that's a place that he's very comfortable running. I've watched him during practice and at other races. He enjoys being on that high lane, and that is a place where you can make passes. You do not have to be in that preferred lane, which would be toward the bottom or the middle of the track. You can be on that outside and hold the driver down. It just stops their momentum, but we've got another caution out on Speedway.
I think it came out, I think Luke Logan was going to be clear and have the lead. This one involves Bill Eggs Benedict. A little bit of checking up there. Hayden Austin had to hold off so that he didn't get into the back of Eric Stout. And I think it just backed him up into the group.
Yeah, and that's kind of the oddity of North Wilkesboro going into turn 1. First off, it's downhill, so you tend to carry a little more speed than what you would like to going into there. But also drivers are trying to arc it in. They're trying to go high and then turn back down the track. And if you're one of those drivers that just turn in early, you catch that driver super fast. You don't even realize that it's happening. These cars are already difficult to see out over that big air cleaner in the way. So that is typical contact at this track.
Well, been a little messy early on. Take a quick look at how the iRacing's race stewards are going to score this. And yes, indeed, I think Luke Logan Allen is going to get credited with being in the lead now. I guess that's a good thing. He got the lead from the outside.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting on this to see which lane he chooses. I think he may take the top again, but we'll have to see.
Slow going here tonight. None of the top drivers coming in for any pit stops. Dalton Williamson waiting back there to see what Allen decides to do. Your big mover now is the Racing Rev. Chris Hazlip up 4 spots. Let me correct myself. How about 5 down there for Scott Negus? Watch out for Negus. Okay. Pace car's going to go around one more time. Let's go back and look at Glenn Jameson. He's up several positions, up 6 from where he started. All right, going green. Sure enough, Luke Logan Allen took the outside line. It worked for him before. And it's going to work for him again. He is clear. Let's see if he comes down in front of Dalton Williamson. He does.
Yeah, the outside working really nice. The big reason for that is the momentum you gain down the straightaway. So you're able to get back into that throttle much earlier than the driver down on the bottom. So he's able to clear, but you can see once he made that pass, he went back down toward the lower lane. That's where your speed is going to be while you're single file.
Something I learned from my partner. Sometimes the fastest lane single file is not the fastest lane double file. Good battle a little farther back for 9th position. This is Josh Buckley just ahead of Chris Hazlip. Brian Neff. Hazlip trying to work the high side.
I will notice, you see a couple of these drivers, they're not as bad as they were at the beginning of the race, but there's a couple different lanes they're running. But for the most part, a lot of these drivers are sticking down toward the bottom, and I like that because we talked about as you get into a run, how your front tires can start to get overheated, you start to get a push on entry, and that carries on through the center of the corner, which scrubs off speed, and you're just not able to carry that momentum down the straight. So some of these drivers being very conservative, entering very low, letting the car rotate before they get back on the throttle, not doing anything crazy to overheat those tires. That will pay off later in the run.
They're behaving up front. Let's go back and look at Mark Poe. Back in 16th spot. Mark just took a stab at Brian Bianchi. It didn't work, and now he's fallen back into the clutches. I feel a yellow flag brewing here. That's Kevin Alicia on the bottom. Just above, always there, Fred Leclerc is now coming. They got that powder blue car of Poe in front of him. Leclerc gets a touch of the wall.
Yeah, and that touch comes off of turn 4, and that's something we haven't talked about yet, but there is a hump out of turn 4. The track literally goes uphill a little bit, and there's like a little bump right there where you see, oh, and that's right where that contact happened.
Brian Neff got together with Chris Hazlip. I think Hazlip might have got the wall and came down into Neff. Nope.
Yeah, we'll look at the replay, but one of the things that bump does, turn 3 and 4, you feel like you can get back in the throttle and that the car is stuck until you come over that bump, and it just pushes you out toward the wall. It's something that you really have to pay attention to here, and I think that may have led to the initial wall contact.
Neff, I think, is going to be okay. Hazlip bounced off down into the inside wall. Probably the end of his night. Oh, let me excuse myself. That was Neff that got the inside. It was not.
Yeah, I think there was contact with the outside wall while at the same time Neff was coming up. So the two made contact down the front stretch, and it sent Neff hard into that inside wall. Probably had broken left front suspension damage. He had the car, locked down, but he still slid back up into traffic, and that led to all of the other carnage that we saw there.
Hayden Austin and Bill Benedict involved in the second consequential crash. Well, up front where it matters, Luke Logan Allen still your leader. Dalton Williamson will probably, I would imagine Allen worked before on the outside line. He'll probably try it again.
Yeah, and one thing we'll touch on, now that we're a quarter of the way through this race, we've had so many caution laps, Soup. I think that takes the tire strategy out completely.
Got it.
I don't think anybody's going to be pitting to get an advantage unless we have a really long green flag run with a caution with about 15 to go. I don't see anybody taking tires at this point.
Drivers are cycling around. Big movers, Brian Bianchi up 7 spots, Fred Leclerc up 8. Your point leader will be starting on the outside of row 2. The man chasing on the inside of row 1. And the future of sim racing, Luke Logan Allen, probably in the best spot. Here we go. Try this one more time, working lap number 26. Williamson, I thought, was going to drift up into Allen, but he does not. Now he loses momentum.
Oh, yeah, slight contact down the backstretch. Williamson was trying to get up in line, and Stout had some momentum, but I cut him a break there right now.
Indeed, Eric backed out a little bit. Now Eric enjoying the high side. That's Troutman, who's trying to have to settle for 4th position. A.J. Hamilton 5th. He's going to be good, especially if you get around Troutman. They can go up there and work those guys a little bit.
Yeah, and AJ's one of those drivers that we normally see qualify super well, and he's really fast at the beginning and kind of falls off. Tonight, I'm kind of seeing him take it easy. I think he's going to be one of these drivers that's going to kind of trick these guys late in the race and have more speed than what they're expecting.
There are 2 drivers to watch out for. Car number 14, Brian Bianchi. He is coming up 8 or 9 positions, depending when they decide to count it. And Fred Leclerc is up 10. They are nose to tail and working their way through the field.
Yeah, and you see just in our screen there, just toward the top of our screen, Ken Allen. He was that driver that got in that accident early. He's got a lot of speed, and he's trying to work his way through this field, but got to be thinking about your tires while you're doing it. I don't see him doing anything crazy, but he's going to be a driver that's moving forward.
I'd like to go up and look at Ethan Troutman. Partner, take a look at Troutman's racing line, although he may change it up now. He's racing higher than the rest of the guys. He's almost like in that second lane or halfway up into that second lane, while everyone else seems to be low into those corners.
Yeah, you see Stout going up and kind of protecting that a little bit, but I think he's just trying to see if he can get something to work on corner entry, maybe sneak up on these guys a little bit. I like staying down toward the bottom right now, just being very easy on those tires. But Ethan's looking around, and one thing that does come into play just a little bit here is aero. The aerodynamics of these cars, because we're running fast enough speeds on this little short track in the tour mods that it does matter. So Ethan looking a little to the right or a little to the left in the corners could help his tires stay nice and cool.
All right, JR, we always talk so much about getting the power down, but how do you brake for these things? Are you on the brakes hard or gently on this? How do you do these things to be fast?
Yeah, so both the SKs and the tour mods, you don't use a ton of brakes. You definitely use more brakes in the tours than the SKs, but it's gentle braking for the most part. There's some little tricks that you can kind of do, pump the brakes or on and off the brakes at different times to get it to rotate through the center, and that comes into play later in the run. But it's very gentle movements with the brake pedal. Most of it is all controlled with the throttle.
Look a little farther back at the 2 wide battle. That is a little bit of a bump there.
Yeah, and that's that treacherous turn 1. Just you never know for sure when a driver's trying to work over another driver which lane they're going to go to. You expect them to go into that same lane they did the lap before, but you're changing it up here, and that's where I talked about searching around, trying to find the grip, finding something that works differently than the car ahead of you so you can try to set up a pass. But when you do that with somebody right behind you, it does throw them off, and sometimes it leads to contact.
2 different races going on. Up front, it's all peaceful, single file, everyone just kind of behaving, although they're working each other. But farther back, they are 2 wide and really fighting.
Yeah, Ken Allen was kind of involved in some of that contact just a few laps ago. He got it sorted out, but he has tons of speed. He qualified up front, second row, I believe. He's trying to get back there because his run went away quickly. Now, the good thing for him is that he had bad luck, got into that spin early in the race. He's got time to make it up, but this is historically a place that's pretty difficult to make passes, and he's trying to do it. He's just coming up just a little bit short in the corners right now.
Director, let's move up a couple spots to Brian Bianchi. I talked about him, how he's working his way through the field again. Brian didn't put in a qualifying time, so it's against my religion to give him a whole lot of credit for picking up spots. But right now he's working on the inside of Patrick Stout, and I think he's going to get this done as he takes it down in there. He's made several passes. He's benefited a little bit from attrition. Oh my goodness, does not get a great drive off. That inside line slows him down a bit. Maybe he can't get it done.
It is very difficult after you've got 20 laps or so on the tires. You've got those tires up to temperature to try to make that pass on the inside without the outside driver making a mistake or overdriving the corner, doing something a little bit off character. So, yeah, it is very difficult. The one thing I liked about that, though, is that Brian was able to keep his car down on the bottom. He wasn't shoving up into Patrick there. That means he's got a good handling car right now. He's taking care of the tires, but he's got to find another way around.
Why don't we take a second and I'll run you through the top 10. Luke Logan Allen has led 41 laps. He's very comfortable out there, just hitting his mark. He's got about a 2.5 car length lead on Dalton Williamson. Williamson was able to give him the business on that first lap and steal the lead. And then Logan got it back legitimately before the caution came out. Back in third is Eric Stout. Remember, Stout and Williamson set, well, first and second in the standings with Stout leading, and he's got that big lead. Williamson, not only does he need to finish in front of Stout now, but he has to start picking up some bonus points. He could really use those a win. Ethan the Mountain Troutman is under attack from A.J. Hamill as they race for fourth position. Hamill's been in the wall a couple of times. And do we have a caution?
There is another caution out on the Speedway.
I think this one is Jameson involved with Ken Allen. Oh, Ken is just not going his way.
Yeah, and that's just a little bit of, checkup activity more than anything. Glenn kind of went in that second groove, and that made Ken go, hey, there's a hole here for me to get to. The problem was by the time he got there, Glenn was already turning back down the track. So, nothing aggressive there, but that is something that happens here because one of the things you try to do to find grip here is to do, the high-end, low-out type of a line through the corners, and it just doesn't work out when you got somebody close behind you.
And that was Kevin Alicia that was third onto the scene. The two guys in front might have got it straightened out until Kevin got there. No fault of his. Well, it's been a little messy here tonight.
Well, you see on our screen, these guys have proved me wrong. They're coming down pit road, and it's the team cars that we see there, Eric Stout and A.J. Hamill, along with several others. I think Fred Leclerc, Brian Bianchi, he's on. Stefan is also on, Patrick Stout. So several of these drivers have come down pit road, and that's going to put them back in the field, Soup, and it's been tough to pass. So we'll have to see how this works out for them and see if it's something that pays off. But right now, if I'm Dalton Williamson up there in second place, I'm kind of smiling.
We're going to quickly try to talk to Ethan the Mountain Troutman. Ethan, do you have a minute to talk to us?
I believe so.
Okay. Any thoughts of coming in? Some people did.
Coming in, the difference between when we ran Monday at this track and the trucks and this is way different. I thought we'd have more grip on fresh tires. We didn't. It's very slick, very loose. Once things got heated up, there's a little more grip, but it's gone to the tight side. So I think now we're in doing our best to save tires for the end here.
All right, they're doubling up. You got some fast guys with fresh rubber behind you. Good luck.
Thanks.
Ethan sitting in third spot, inside of row 2. So the leaders of all the cars that came in for that stop, it's Eric Stout. He's back in 13th. Here we go. 13th seems like such a long way to go when you got some talented names in front of you.
Yeah, it's going to be difficult, but the one thing that these drivers coming in and doing the pit stop, what it's created, is put a lot of new names up front. We see Jeff Ahu there trying to take over the third position around the outside of Ethan that we just spoke to, along with, I think, Chris Hazlip's up there in 5th or 6th. Josh Buckley's right there beside him.
Yeah, there are some names that might be easy pickings. I'm not going to bifurcate the group of who's talented and who isn't, but certainly Allen and Williamson, Aho, all have the pace to get this done on old tires.
And right around that area that we're watching on our screen, that's going to be the spot where some contact may occur. Eric Stout is right behind this group. I talked about it being difficult to pass.
Stout's in the wall. He's not in the wall. He's in pit lane.
Yep, and AJ Hamill also is going around. So this is what happens when you pit. If you don't bring a lot of guys with you, it puts you back in that danger zone.
I would like an on board with this one when we're done with it. A second look. Stout gets together and was on the way to the concrete, and there just happened to be a pit lane opening when he got there. Here we go. I'm going to the inside wall. I'm going to oh, there we go. That was on board. I'm not sure who we were on board with there.
That was AJ Hamill that we were riding on board with, and yeah, what happens there? That's going into turn 1. We talked about it being downhill, and drivers brake differently because that's one of the corners where drivers fan out all across the corner. So if you're one of the drivers going in on the low side, the driver behind you might not be, and they're carrying more speed in, and that's where some contact got made.
Is it possible that Stout would get a black flag for entering pit lane too fast?
It is very possible that can occur. It kind of depends on the admins if they want to overlook that or just go with whatever iRacing throws up. But we're right on board with him here. Oh, yeah, so that's definitely what the black flag is for. And in that respect, I don't think there was anything that Eric created there. I think it was just a racing situation that led to that contact, and he did a great job to not kill his car. But unfortunately, he went down pit road way too fast, and that has given him the black flag. And so far, Soup, it has not been cleared.
Yeah, I don't think they do that. I think it's you roll with what iRacing gives you. And sometimes it seems unfair, but when you think about it, it might be the most fair way to do it, as everybody's playing under the same rules. So, where are the guys who stopped? Who's your best bet? Well, Bradley Steffen, he's going to be back in about 11th. Our pace car is in. One more restart for Luke Logan Allen. He loves the outside. It's worked and it's worked, but the tires get older. Oh, the kid drifts up really high that time. This is the best that I've seen Dalton Williamson look. Williamson dives it in deep. They're going to come off of corner number 4. I think Williamson might beat him to the line. He did indeed. Williamson drifting up. Allen giving him just enough room. Now the kid with momentum off of 2. You're clear, and he comes down in front. Be careful of the Williamson special. Not going to get it. Troutman up into 3rd.
Yeah, nice job by those leaders up front to not make contact. Good hard racing, but I see Ethan trying to close back in. Right there, that group that we're looking at, Glenn Jamison, Kevin Alicia, Chris Hazlett, they're all running different lines, working each other over right now.
Jamison with the fresh tires. Hayden Austin does not. In fact, Jamison is the only one that's making any progress with that alternate pit strategy.
Yeah, I just don't see the benefit of coming in and getting tires here. Obviously, you come in and just get right side tires, there's a possibility that it's going to really free the car up. Could give you better turn after you get 15 or 20 laps into the run. But I just don't think it's going to be a big enough of a benefit to allow you to pass through the field, come back through the field from halfway.
We're looking at where the action is, where the caution flag is going to come from. And Glenn Jamison, remember on the first, just got ahead of Hayden Austin. Jamison's next up, Kevin Alicia. The biggest name with fresh tires, well, you really have to go down A.J. Hamill, but Hamill and Stout got into that mix, so those were the guys that if anyone going to do it, it was going to be them, and they ran into issues.
Yeah, there's a caution back out on the speedway. I believe I saw Mark Poe down toward the inside, and that wasn't the worst part. While everybody was trying to check up, some drivers checked up harder than others, and I believe Scott Negus and maybe Patrick Stout got involved in that.
You called it, buddy.
Yep. So a little bit of differences in checkups, but the big thing was there was a driver on the inside, and I couldn't catch who it was, trying to come back up to avoid Mark Pohl on the inside. So I think Fred Leclerc is just trying to move up to make sure he doesn't make contact, and Negus just was not expecting that.
Going to take an opportunity to see if we can talk to the run runner, Glenn Jamison. Glenn, you got a copy?
Hey, I got your copy here, Soup. How you doing, man?
All right. I don't know if you know this, but you are the leader of all the cars on that alternate strategy with the fresh rubber. You like the way it feels?
Yeah, it's feeling pretty good right now. I think it was a pretty good stop. Feels pretty solid. My tire wear in the first stint there was pretty good, so I'm feeling pretty confident about this. We'll see how it goes.
All right, let's see what you can get. Good luck.
Thank you, man.
Nice for the drivers to talk to us. He's feeling good. So what he needs, I guess, if this is going to work, he's got to have some green flag laps so he can start making some passes. You can't pass these guys under caution.
Yeah, definitely. He's going to need some green flag runs. Maybe if he gets some cautions, a little bit of luck being in that preferred outside lane while they're side by side, that would help him move up too. But yeah, I think overall he needs some green flag running here, because the tires, while they're nice and cool, they're cooling down under this caution. The drivers that have been out here the entire time that did not pit, they're going to have enough grip and speed, just like the drivers that pitted. So until they get 5 to 10 laps and that heat comes up, their tires are going to be grippy. They're going to have the same speed. So he needs that long run in order to have the advantage.
Well, you got to wonder if the experience of Dalton Williamson, if he can start figuring out what he can do to get one of these restarts out in front. The last one he had was probably his closest chance I've seen him. 68 laps out front has been Luke Logan Allen. The only time he didn't have it is when Dalton Williamson moved him up. Here we go. Let's try this one more time. Working lap 74. This could be the battle for the win. 4-time champion down below. Future multi-time champion up above. Out of corner number 4. Williamson led laps before and he leads them now. Now this is where he's got to be careful. Luke Logan Allen, if the caution were to come out, he could not get the lead.
Yeah, and this is why they're driving so hard, especially on corner entry right now, because that caution comes out on corner entry. Whoever got out in front is going to be given that lead. They're fighting back and forth. Luke Logan's doing a fantastic job up top, and I think he's going to be able to grab that lead right now.
great drive off of 4, was first at the line, and now he's got it back. 1 lap lead credited to Dalton Williamson in that battle. Aho and Troutman. Aho, it's a former champ himself.
Yeah, and I'll give a shout out to Dalton Williamson there. That was really hard racing, but it was super clean. And the one thing that Dalton's thinking about, Eric Stout is stuck 2 laps down right now, back in 18th position. He wants to win this race, but he knows more importantly, he has got to get a good points finish here tonight.
We talked to Glenn Jamieson before we went green. Well, he was not able to pick up any positions. Now the leader on that fresh rubber is Patrick Stout, racing in 10th. He's got Hayden Austin in front of him. Patrick Stout has 28 laps on these tires. Everybody else, the entire race, which would be 79. Coming around this time is going to be an important moment in the race. My director is ready for this. And I guess we are not. Oh, there it is. Anything about winning, get the mirror ball spinning. Grip the groove, make your move, put on your dancing shoes, because it's time to boogie. Dalton Williamson knows what time it is.
Yeah, this is where the pay window opens up. So this is when the drivers know, if I have anything left, I have got to go and use it right now. And if you're smart, there may be some racing line that you have not used yet that could catch your competitor off guard. Now's the time to start to show that. I saw going into turn 1 there, looked like Luke Logan got a little bit loose under braking. He kept it under control, but he's got to be thinking about that. And these are cars where you can move that brake bias around. You start to get loose on entry, you can start to move those brakes toward the front to help you out with that.
I want to talk about the guys who have the fresh rubber. Bianchi now has made his way around Patrick Stout. So now the 14 is coming. Don't know if he's got enough time to get there. Might be able to get himself a top 5 if he hurries.
Yeah, and the other point we haven't touched on yet, those drivers that have the pressure rubber, this is what they're kind of looking for. We've got enough laps now. The tires, the pressure tires are going to start to pay off. But secondly, look at our screen here. You've got gaps. There are gaps. Drivers are not nose to tail. That makes the passes a little bit easier to make. You've got more racetrack to move around, and you're not congested when you go to make that move. So this does help those drivers.
The Raven Mark Poe came in 15 laps ago. He's got an alternate strategy. He's really making up some spots. He's back in 13th right now. He might be able to get a top 10. Laps are ticking down. With apologies to the rest of the field, let's focus our attention up front. We have a classic example of the passing of the torch. The future and the past. Luke Logan Allen, Dalton Williamson.
Yeah, and right now, Luke Logan is running a great line. He is able to keep Dalton back at least a car length, sometimes 3 car lengths back during this run. You see Dalton touch the apron there, get a little bit loose, and have to chase it up the track, so it loses a little bit of time. But the one thing that Luke's got to start looking is in his mirror while they're in the corner. He wants to start seeing where Dalton is running, because if Dalton starts to take him by surprise and run a different line, Luke needs to be able to realize that groove or that speed is moving up the track, and he's going to have to go there himself to try to find that speed.
And this is a spanking by the kid. This is a give me the pole, let me lead the vast majority of the laps and beat a 4-time champion, but he's not there yet. Lewis Flowers involved in this one. I think he got into it as he came up and got into Ethan Troutman. And spun around and got collected by several drivers.
Yeah, definitely, and it's one of those things. So when you're turning into turn 1, it's very flat on the bottom. if you do that and you carry too much speed, talked about it being downhill, you will easily slide up. So that was the easy part. The bad part was all the other drivers coming in, and a lot of that has to do with the way that you see out of these cars. We talked about that air cleaner, but also those A-pillars makes it very difficult to see until that car is almost right in front of you.
Well, lap 93. I don't think the kid wanted that caution. See if I can grab Luke Logan and let him talk to us real quick. Luke, it's Soup. You got a copy?
I got a copy.
All right. You probably didn't need that last caution, right?
Not preferably, but see how it goes.
Outside line again on the restart?
Yep.
All right, good luck.
Thanks, Soup.
Always good when Uncle Soup comes in, gives him a little bit of encouragement there.
What I liked about that, Soup, is how calm he sounds. So it's a lot of confidence. I mean, when you keep yourself calm like that in situations that are, very tense, you're going to be better off. And he's always one of those drivers that seems to be able to do that.
If you're wondering, I intentionally did not ask him about getting a little racing line suggestion from Williamson early on. He doesn't need that in his head right now. All right. Coming across, working lap 96. All of our attention will be up front. Troutman is on the top of row 2 with Aho behind. Here we go. Can the kid hold off the 4-time champion one more time? He looks good out of 2. Dalton Williamson will take it in as deep as he can and try to hold it down. As usual, I think Williamson is getting credit with leading the lap. No, not this time. And we got another one.
Oh, I think it's actually going to give it to him, Soup, because I'm trying to see what iRacing's doing here, but I think Dalton was just barely ahead of Luke when the caution came out.
Waiting for the scoring so far. My timing and scoring, so the kid's still up in front. If he loses the lead on that, it would be the biggest injustice since the church imprisoned Galileo. That would just be wrong.
That's what's going to happen, and I've been on both sides of that, and I can tell you from Luke's perspective, it's super frustrating. But yeah, that's how iRacing sees it. It's not like the last scoring loop or the last time you were at the start-finish line. It's who was out in front at the moment the caution came out.
Well, I'm not interviewing Williamson. I'm protesting this from the commentator's booth. I'm going to interview Luke Logan Allen. I'm going to call him the winner in the post-race show. Sinful.
Yeah, and it's going to hurt even more on this restart because I think you're pretty sure that Dalton's going to take the outside lane, and
Dalton, give the kid the outside line, you lead stealer.
Now it doesn't mean that Luke still can't make that pass and win this race, because got to think about it. We're going to have a green-white checkered shootout here. Now we can have 3 attempts, but as long as we get that white flag, that will be the final lap, and Luke doesn't have to pass him. He just has to be slightly ahead when they go across the line.
And it worked. Williamson was able to do it. Let me drill down a little bit on this kid's history. It was just, if you haven't seen it, spoiler alert, 5 days ago, he's racing in 4th position. He's watching his dad about ready to get a win when these same guys, I think it might have been Dalton Williamson or Eric Stout, took him out. And I encouraged the kid to go back and avenge his father. Let's see what happens right now. Here we go. The veteran on the outside. The kid on the inside. Good start from both. Send it, kid.
We've got another caution out, so we're going to have to do it all over again.
Oh. Granny Hips Buckley was a beach catfish here. He was on his lid for a while.
Oh, yeah. And even though he got back going, I think he's going to be over. But yeah, very lucky to end up back on his wheels, but you could see as he landed back on those wheels, the right front suspension had some major damage. So yeah, he's going to be done after that.
All right, well. Right now, of course, Luke Logan Allen is in, I believe, the 6th grade, so he's going to school. Let's see if he went to school that time and if he learned anything on that last one.
I think this is going to help Luke compared to that last restart. He was leaned back just a little bit when that green flag came out, so he had a little bit of a disadvantage. If he can tidy that up a little bit, he's going to have a shot here.
All right, VGN says right here on page 17 of the commentator's handbook. There is a lot on page 17 of this commentator's handbook. Says that the commentators have to play it straight, not to show favorites. So I will not. I will be perfectly straightforward, right down the middle between the youthful innocence and the old age and treachery that lurks on the outside. If there is any justice in this world, the racing gods will distribute some now in the next 2 laps. The pace car stays out so we can ponder this a bit more.
Yeah, and one thing I'm going to mention here, just as another side note, would be, obviously Dalton would love to win this race. Eric Stout's having a rough night. He's come back to 11th place, but still having a little bit of a rough night. So he's got to think about points. Luke doesn't. Luke's going to be running hard. So if I'm Luke, I may be a little more aggressive than what I usually am.
That's right. All right. 2 laps to go. Good start from both drivers. The number 1 seems to have a little more horsepower. Takes it in deep. Gets a good drive off of 2. The kid is still there. Now he's not there. Now he's still there. Send it, kid. Oh, he backs out. Oh, his parents has raised a child to be polite and manners. There's still time. Down the backstretch, he's a half car length back. In the popcorn position, hoping to vulture one is Troutman. He bumps him! Yeah, kid! Go get it! Play a straight soup! A dose of your own medicine! Luke Logan Allen gets the win! Dalton Williamson has to settle for 2nd. Oh, sweet sassy Molassie, I'm beside myself with joy. Ethan Troutman gets 3rd. And of course, I'm just happy for the great racing. Not the results have no consequence on my size of my smile. The racing is over. The broadcast is not. We'll take a short break. We'll come back to run down the entire finishing order before we put a lock on the gate. You're watching the Virtual Grip Network, where justice can be witnessed. From North Wilkesboro Speedway, you just witnessed the Virtual Grip Network's Live as It Happens 10th round coverage of the Skitter Creek Modified Series in its 15th season. The results are in. Let's give them to you quickly so we can get to the interviews. Luke Logan Allen starts on the pole, leads 92 laps, gets the win. Oh, but that doesn't even come close to telling the story of his race. Dalton Williamson will come home in second. Ethan the Mountain Troutman and season 10 champ Jeff Aho go third and fourth, with Kevin Alicia quietly getting a top 5 finish. Always there, Fred Leclerc is there in sixth after starting in 20th. The rum runner, Glenn Jameson, on an alternate pit strategy. He's going to be happy with seventh. Bill Eggs Benedict, boy, what an event for him. My, those eggs are cracked, baby. But he's going to get an eighth position with sinful on our part. Ricardo Cano did not get any love for a top 10 finish. That might be his career best. Sorry about that, Ricardo. And then no matter what you do to him, you cannot keep him down. Eric Stout gets a 10th place finish. He was 2 laps down at one time. Partner?
Yeah, coming home in 11th place tonight, we got Chris Hazlip, Hayden Austin, and he'll come home in 12th. Joshua Buckley comes home in 13th after having some bad luck late in the race. Mark Poe, he'll come home in 14th. Brian Bianchi will come home in 15th place. Patrick Stout was having a good run, ran into some misfortune there. He'll come home in 16th place. Lewis Flowers will come home in 17th place. Ken Allen, after starting up front, running into some trouble, he'll come home in 18th. Bradley Steffen will come home in 19th place, and Scott Negus will be in 20th tonight. Rounding out the field will be A.J. Hamill in 21st and Brian Neff in 22nd.
All right, with that said, we're going to go ahead and talk to our race winner as we dial up Luke Logan Allen. Luke, a win on an oval. Congratulations, buddy.
Yeah. Second win ever.
That's right. All right, I got 3 things to talk about. Let's go back to lap 1. You're out in front, and Dalton Williams gives you a little bit of a love tap there and steals the lead from you.
I don't even remember that love tap.
Yeah, I thought you might. We're going to put that in the memory banks for a little bit later. Let's talk about the untimely caution. I don't know if I could handle it, and I'm like 5 times your age. When you found out that iRacing was going to score you in second, it had to be heartbreaking.
I was like, well, there's going to be a very small chance I'm going to win this now.
Then you get two bites of the apple. The first time you didn't get it. Then you get another caution. You're going to try it one more time. He got you. He's out in front. Let's go to the last lap, corner number 4. What were you thinking?
I was thinking about the several times I probably could have won races, but I decided to play it clean and not bump them.
That's what
Mainly
you were thinking.
Bristol.
And then did the lap 1 incident come to mind?
No, I didn't even know there was contact on the lap 1 incident. All I knew was that he passed me.
Oh, okay. Well, you got him. Then you came out and you got yourself a win. Congratulations. Well done. And tell Mom and Dad extra help in the dessert tonight. Okay, buddy?
Yep. Thanks, Sue.
Well done. We'll see you down the road. Luke Logan Allen. That's not the last time we're going to be interviewing him from the top of the highest podium. All right, who you got?
All right, I'm with Dalton Williamson. Dalton, I know, man, it wasn't the finish that you were looking forward to, but I'm going to walk you through a couple of those late cautions there. One of them got you the lead because you're just slightly out in front. That gave you the preferred lane on the outside. Talk us through your thoughts there, and then obviously the late contact.
Well, like I told Luke before you drug us up here, I used them up at the beginning, the restart before that a little bit to try to get underneath them because you had to put so much wheel to try to pass somebody when you're underneath them that it just kind of killed your run. And like I told him, I wasn't mad at all. I kind of expected it and just missed time dragging the brakes, and he pushed me up the track.
Well, I can tell you, after that contact was made, you did a fantastic job to keep that thing sorted out and come across the line in second. I want to talk about the bigger picture now. Eric Stout had an off night. He did some tire strategy that didn't work out for him, put him in a bad spot. He still comes back and finishes 10th, but you up in second, that's going to help out a lot in the points.
Yeah, hopefully I can keep building the momentum and try to catch them. We got some of the old crew back together over the week, so I think we're slowly starting to figure out my speed again where I used to have it. But we'll wait and see how the season unfolds.
Yeah, the service has definitely changed over the years, keeps evolving, so it may take a little while, but keep at it. I'm gonna let you out here on this one. Next week, go to the bull ring back in the SK. What are your thoughts there? And we're doing an extra 50 laps, so 150 laps there.
To be honest, I haven't been there in the SK since the last time I ran it in this league. So to be honest, I don't really have anything to really go at next week. I think I'm just gonna swing for the fences and see how we unload.
All right, man. Hey, hopefully we'll talk to you again next week. We'll see how it works out for you.
Yep. Appreciate you guys for broadcasting and Premier Setup Shop and the family for watching and Platinum RV Services.
Absolutely, guys. That was Dalton Williamson, our second place finisher here tonight at North Wilkesboro. With that, Soup, who do you got?
I get to talk to Ethan the Mountain Troutman. Ethan, you had a good view of the passing of the torch there as the kid got the best of Dalton Williamson.
Yeah, that was highlight of the night for sure. That was crazy.
Yeah. Pretty good race for you. You raced up front most of the time. Went the whole way on the one set of tires. All those cautions certainly helped that idea.
Yeah, they helped keep the tires a little cooler. Toward the end there, I tried to go on the fence a little bit, and the tires just didn't have the turn in them. Yeah, those cautions helped, and then it was just luck of the draw if you were starting on the bottom or the top. Jeff and I were pretty even, and we kept swapping third and fourth back based on the restarts. But I'm just impressed with what Luke did. Like that was nuts.
And he's only going to get better, which is the scary part, man. Hey, congratulations on the third place finish. We'll see you down the road.
Okay, thanks, guys.
That'll do it for us. I just want a personal note. I'd like to tell all the drivers I love them all equally. And if it was Dalton Williams, I'd be pulling him to get the win just to keep the championship race as close as possible, except when he's racing a 12-year-old where I got to pull for the youngster. Can't help it. It's this human nature. Those are all the races coming up. My goodness, there's too many to count. I've been told that the viewership is literate and they can do the reading themselves. So find one you like and tune in. You won't be disappointed. I don't know if it'll be as good as this one or if we'll have a preteen winner, but it'll be good stuff. All those broadcasts, Future Pass was all a production of the Virtual Grip Network. On behalf of all those little faces there, we tried to do our best tonight. We hope you enjoyed the broadcast. If not, we'll try to do better next time. Until then, have fun storming the castle.